So this story is nothing short of fucking wild, to say the least. So earlier this year, I was working for The RealReal, and I was getting a new job, and they wanted me to move to New York City. So I knew I was going to be leaving The RealReal, and I started apartment hunting. So I joined the New York City Facebook group, and I meet this girl. We went out to coffee. She seemed super nice. So I decide that she's going to be my roommate. She likes me. I like her. It worked out. So we're hunting for apartments. Now, if you've ever hunted for apartments in New York City, you know how tough it is. It's tough to find an apartment without a broker's fee, which thank God they got rid of this summer. But at the time, the broker's fees were still in effect. So you could find an apartment and then be paying a $6,000 broker fee, which is insane. So we didn't want to pay a broker fee, so it limited our options a lot. So we started looking for apartments, and we see this one apartment on the Upper East Side. So I didn't have time to tour it because at the time I was still working for The RealReal and just running all around New York City, picking up luxury items from all different clients. So she tours the apartment. She's like, yeah, it's really nice. Like, we should take it. Like, we should really do it. And I make the mistake of not touring the apartment in person, which huge mistake on my part. So my dad at the time was my co-signer for the lease. So he co-signs the lease, and we agree that we're going to take the apartment. So we agree to take the apartment. I'm all excited. I'm going to move to New York City. Oh my God, it's like right out of a movie. Yeah, right out of a fucking horror movie. So we move in, and it's February, so it's freezing outside. It's like bone chilling. It's so cold. We move into the apartment, and we notice that day it's like really cold inside the apartment. And we're both kind of looking at each other. I'm like, that's odd. That's kind of weird. So I go to take a hot shower, and the water's ice Arctic cold. I'm like, no, like, what's going on? So I contact our super, and I'm like, hey, the water's super cold. Like, what's going on? And he's like, oh, don't worry. We'll send up some plumbers. These plumbers were literally like Temu plumbers. Like, there's no shot that they were professional plumbers. Like, there's actually no way that they were professional plumbers. They come up, they say they fixed it. 20 minutes later, the water's still cold. The heat's not working. Then the heat was blasting for 20 minutes. Then it's back to like freezing our asses off, right? So I look at my roommate. I'm like, well, what are we going to do? So we had to, in the snow, walk to Crunch Gym to go shower. We walked to Crunch Gym. There were snowflakes coming down. We walked to Crunch Gym to go shower, okay? That's what we had to do. So the apartment was on the Upper East Side, and at the time, my boyfriend lived on the Upper East Side. So I would go there to shower. I slept over there a few times because it was so icebox freezing in my apartment. I was quite literally crying every day. It was the worst experience ever. It was so cold in this apartment. I can't even tell you like how cold it was in this apartment, okay? So every day I'd put in reports to 411 because I'm like, this has to be illegal. Like, there's no way that these issues like weren't going on. So we befriend one of our neighbors who tells us that this has been going on for months, that they basically ping pong the hot water to all the other units and ping pong around the heat. So like one day, like 402 would have heat. The next day, 502 wouldn't have heat. And then it'd switch, and then they would have hot water, and then they wouldn't have hot water. Every day it was like a fucking adventure, right? Living in this apartment building. And I still had to work on top of this. I had to work my job, and I go to my job. I look like shit with like no makeup on, freezing cold. Like, that's not a way for anyone to live. And the fact that these people knew about this and then let us sign a lease is awful. So I'm calling my dad. My dad's yelling at me. I'm yelling at him. Everyone's getting frustrated with each other. So I go to work one day, right? And it was a Friday. And I was consulting a tenant attorney because I'm like, I'm going to sue these people. Like, this is insane. I was, going to be talking to the New York Post. I had reached out to a few different news outlets. I was going to make this as public as possible, which is what I told them via email. I was going to go the legal route. Like, it was insane. So I'm at work this Friday, and I'm talking to my best friend and my coworker who we're like still friends. I was just with her last weekend. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. She's like, well, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to, contact a tenant attorney. And she's like, yeah, that's insane. And then my phone goes off and I get an email that not only did we get let out of the lease, but they fully refunded us. I'm like, hallelujah, thank God we're out of this lease and out of this goddamn hellhole. Like, this place was awful, awful. I can't even tell you how awful it was. Also, I put in a 411 report because I saw rats down where the gym, which was just basically just like an old treadmill that pretty sure it didn't work. I saw some rat droppings. I put in a 411 report, and sure enough, there were rats, and they got written up for that. So that happens, right? But now I need to figure out what I'm going to do next because my lease wasn't up in Hoboken yet. Shout out Vector Movers because they moved me into this hellhole apartment on the Upper East Side, and then they moved me back to my apartment in Hoboken and charged me a reduced rate. The first move was actually free because I did influencing for them, and the second move was like a big reduced rate because they felt so bad for me with what happened, and I did influencing for them, and they were just awesome. So understanding about the situation too. So I moved back into my old apartment, right, in Hoboken. My other roommate was planning on moving out, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm kind of back at square one here. So I go on the Hoboken Facebook group, and I'm like, well, I got to find a new roommate. So I make another post. I get some replies to the post, and then I like am overwhelmed. I get over like 60 people DMing me, replying. I'm like, what do I do? So I interview a few people, and I'm like, wasn't really feeling any of these people. I feel like they're kind of strange or weird or just like we're totally different people. So this one girl like writes in and she's like, hey, I'd really like to tour the apartment. I've lived in Hoboken for 3 years. I went to Syracuse. I was in a sorority like you. And I'm like, all right, like she seems pretty similar to me. So she comes to tour the apartment and it's like freezing, right? So she has on her jacket and I have on my jacket, and I go to meet her and we have matching jackets on and we both have the same keychain. And we both kind of like look at each other like that Spider-Man meme where like, wait a damn minute. So she tours the whole apartment building. In the back of my mind, as soon as I saw her, I'm like, I feel like this is going to be my roommate. I mean, we're literally matching. And so she's like, yeah, I'm going to like take a few days to think about it. I'm like, okay. I'm like, please, please, please say yes. Turns out she says yes. We have been living together now since then. She's an amazing roommate. We get along so well. I'm so lucky I found her. And I'm like, thank God, right? So that happens. And she becomes my roommate, and it was great. So I start my new job, right? And it was at this swimwear company. And I'm like so excited. I had negotiated the salary. I was making a good salary. I was pumped to start this new job. I love fashion. It was literally right up my alley. No pun intended. But I was so excited, right? So I used to take the bus in from Port Authority every day because I worked in Hell's Kitchen. I worked on West 39th Street. So I take the job. I'm there for a week, right? And I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing, Excel. I'm so excited. I'm like, finally I get to sit in an office and I'm not running all around. This is great. So at the end of the week, it was a Friday, and I was going away that Monday to Miami with my boyfriend at the time. And it's a Friday, and the head boss calls me in her office. I'm like, oh, this is great. I'll actually get to sit down, and kind of get to talk to her for a little bit. She's been so busy all week. I sit down. She's like, oh, like, we're going to, like, lay you off. I just got here. What do you mean you're going to lay me off? They're like, oh, like, we're going to have to lay you off. I really think that they couldn't afford the salary that they were paying me, and I think that's what it was. They were like, well, you haven't been doing, like, a great job. I just got here. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean I haven't been doing a good job? I've been here a week and I did everything that they asked me to do. I'm so serious. Like, I really did everything they asked me to. It was an insane conversation. Okay. I just survived the slumlord shit, right? And now I'm dealing with getting laid off from my job days before I'm supposed to go to Miami with my boyfriend. I'm like, I have to be on Punk'd or some shit, like cut the cameras, So I get up. I'm like, thanks so much. I'm going to pack up my stuff and go. I get in the elevator. I start sobbing to my dad on the phone. I'm like, I just got laid off. Like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, like, I don't even know what to say to you because, like, the whole slumlord shit just happened and this shit happened. Crying my eyes out. Call my boyfriend at the time, crying my eyes out again. I'm walking to Port Authority in Hell's Kitchen, just sobbing, right? I mean, Port Authority, 10 out of 10 cry spot. You need a good cry spot in the city. Port Authority, you should try it. Yeah, so I get on the bus, crying on the bus. Most humbled I've ever been is crying on a bus at Port Authority going back to Hoboken. It was a very humbling experience, to say the least. So I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Get back to my apartment. I'm just like so upset, right? So I'm just like, what am I going to do? But at least I have this Miami trip, right? I'm looking forward to this Miami trip with my boyfriend at the time. So I have to backtrack a little bit of how him and I met, because that's an interesting story as well. So back in August of last year, my friend and I decided to go to lunch at the Penrose. Now, the Penrose is a bar and restaurant on the Upper East Side. So we decided to go to lunch together. And we're sitting at this lunch, and we see a flyer for like speed dating. And I'm like, oh, interesting. I see this flyer for speed dating, right? And I'm like, oh my God, that's so stupid. Like, who would ever go to that? I like start laughing. My friend looks at me and I'm like, what? She's like, we should go to the speed dating thing. I'm like, are you out of your mind? I'm like, no, only like desperate weirdo people go to that. Like, we're not going to that. She's like, Allie, please, please, please. I'm like, fine, okay, fine. So we decide to go to the speed dating event. And we get ready, we go there. And I had posted that I was at the Penrose. Some guy who follows me on Instagram went. We wind up talking to them for an hour and a half. And then I wind up talking to this French actor. And then we wind up talking to this whole group of firefighters. And they're like, you should come on our fire truck. Like, this would be so much fun. Like, come on our fire truck. I'm like, I value my life. I'm good. But they wanted us to come on the fire truck with them, which was pretty funny. So that all happens. And I had like 3 margaritas. I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling myself. And I like to do this thing where I like to get drunk hot dogs. I love a good drunk Lizzie. So I look at my friend and I'm like, let's go to the hot dog cart. So we walk out of the event. It's me, her, and this girl we met that night who we honestly, like, we never saw her again, but whatever. So we go to the hot dog cart and I get my drunk Lizzie, and it was by the East 86th Street subway station. So there's like this homeless dude wandering around. I just kind of like looked over, and then I got my hot dog. And I turn around after ordering my hot dog, and there's this guy standing there, not the homeless guy, a different guy. And he's like, hey, I saw you at the speed dating event. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I didn't see you. And I had a name tag. And I said my name, I said Allie. And then it had a bomb and a knife. And he's like, well, why do you have a bomb and a knife? And I go, well, I hate everybody. And I was kind of like half joking. And he laughed, and he's like, that's actually pretty funny. And so we start talking back and forth. He asked me where I went to college. I went to Quinnipiac, and 2 of his roommates went to Quinnipiac, and his best friend went to Quinnipiac. So I'm like, oh, okay, like common ground, cool. He went to Penn State, where my brother went. I'm like, oh, all right, cool. So I gave him my number, and I only gave him my number because he knew like common people we knew, so we have mutual friends. And he's like, I'm going to take you on a date. And guys say that to me all the time. I'm like, yeah, okay, right. 95% of the time they do follow through, but I'm like, I'm meeting you at a hot dog stand. I have pretty low expectations for this. So my friend and I, we leave. We go back to her apartment. I stay over at her apartment. I get up the next day, and he like had texted me. I'm like, all right, cool. So we went on a bunch of different dates. The first date, he actually came to Hoboken, ironically enough, took the Port Authority bus, LOL. And I was watching my friend's dog at the time, and they made me late because my friend's dog tried eating my carpet. And I was like, are you kidding me? This dog was like deaf too. I'm like, this is what you want to do right now? Go eat my carpet. He didn't eat it. Okay, he tried to eat it, and I caught him, but oh my God, he gave me a run for my money. So I was late to our first date, and he thought I was standing him up. I mean, looking back now, I should have. But yeah, so we went on our first date. We go on like 10 other dates. He winds up asking me out at Antique Bar and Bakery in Hoboken, and they have great espresso martinis if you've ever had them. They make them with cinnamon liqueur, so it was amazing. He winds up asking me out. I had gone on his dad's boat. I went to his house for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, so we were pretty close, right? So fast forwarding now to this Miami trip that we're going to take. This is our first trip together as a couple, which I think is important to highlight for this story. So if you guys know me personally, you know last time I went to Miami, it was a shit show because of Belt Bag Man. That again, story for a different time. So I plan to go on this Miami trip. I'm all excited, right? I've already had a fucking month. Slumlord, and then laid off from my job. So we get this Airbnb, and online the Airbnb looks great. It looks perfect. So we get there, we get to the Airbnb. There is mold on the lampshade. There is mold all over this room. I'm like, you have to be fucking kidding me. You have to be fucking kidding me, right? Like, after the shit with my apartment and then the job situation, I'm like, now I'm dealing with an Airbnb with mold in it. Like, what is going on here? I'm like, am I unpunked? Like, I have to be unpunked. Like, there's no way this is my life right now. No, it was. Ceiling lampshade everywhere. So then we have this view. I'm like, all right, maybe at least we have a nice view, right? Wrong. I go to look out at the view. There's a dead pigeon on the overhang on the rooftop. Dead as a doornail, like this. Like that, okay? I'm like, you have to be fucking with me. What is going on? So I look at him, and I'm like, this is like not really what it looked like in the pictures. He's like, no, I agree. And I'm like, I guess we make the best of it. Like, I didn't really know what to say, right? So for me growing up, like vacations, I just had a different expectation. When I was younger, I was very lucky and fortunate. My parents took us to nice resorts. We used to go to the Ritz. We used to have a limo come pick us up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. And I get it. Not everybody's life is like that. That was just my experience growing up and how my life was. So I have a high expectation when it comes to vacations. I do. I know I do. I thought that's how everybody's family grew up. And I didn't realize that people grew up differently until I got older and got to experience different things. Okay. So that's my background on vacations. All right. And he didn't really do that growing up with his family, which now looking back in the whole situation, I'm like, I think next person I date just needs to be more similar to me and have grown up in a similar lifestyle to mine. Okay. So getting back to the vacation from hell. We were tanning by the pool during the day. This resort was so ghetto, so run down. It was giving me Bates Motel vibes. I'm like, we gotta get the fuck out of this hotel. It's so horrible. But I'm just trying to like keep my head up, right? So at least the first day was nice, right? So the second day it was overcast, and I'm like, well, what do we do? Not like we can use the TV. It's fucking broken. I'm like, well, what do we do? So he decides that we should go on a bike ride. Now, I don't know about any of you out there. When I'm on vacation, I don't choose an active vacation. I choose something relaxing, right? So he's like, I really want to go on a bike ride. And we decide to rent city bikes. Now, I could have done that back in Hoboken or back in New York City. Like, why are we on city bikes in Miami? Keep in mind, this is like a 4 to 5 mile bike ride. I said, I didn't realize I was doing the Tour de Miami. I didn't realize I was doing the Tour de Miami to train for the Tour de France with Lance Armstrong. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, this is supposed to be a relaxing, chill vacation. I can't. So we're riding this city bike, right? We're riding along this path. I see like homeless people. I see like cats wandering around. And he's like, oh, aren't the cats so cute? And I'm just like looking around in horror. I'm like, this could be a horror movie right now. So we do the Tour de Miami, right? We ride into town. And it's a long ass bike ride. I'm like, all right. We get into town and he picks this restaurant, and the people in the restaurant literally looked like they could have auditioned for Bad Girls Club. I'm like, where the fuck are we? Like, where the fuck are we? I sit down. I'm quiet as a church mouse, right? I'm like, I don't want to say a damn word. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, this is really my life right now. Like, this is really my life. And he's like, hey, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not really having a great time. So he's like, all right, let's pick a different restaurant. So we walk over to a different restaurant, and I'll give it this. It's a little bit quieter, but still kind of like ghetto. And I'm just starting to feel panicked and very stressed from all the shit that's happened to me, right? You know, the shit with the apartment, the shit with my job, and now I'm on this vacation and I'm having a shit time, okay? So I'm sitting at the restaurant and I start to feel like my chest get really tight. And I'm like, I think I'm about to have a panic attack. And I haven't had a panic attack in years, mind you, years. And I'm like, I'm going to have a panic attack. I run out of this restaurant like a fucking bat out of hell, like pretty much could have flown. I was moving so fast. I'm like, I got to take a call. Like, I just made something up. I don't even know what I said. I think that's what I said. Walk out of the restaurant, call my dad, bawling my eyes out. I'm like, this is awful. So I'm explaining everything to my dad. And my dad's like, I knew it was going to be a problem when you said the hotel was kind of iffy. And I'm like, yeah, it definitely is a problem. Like the hotel was not it. That's like kind of the main thing. I was like, but all the other stuff is stressing me out. But then, I'm trying to relax and we get there and this hotel's shitty. And my dad's like, I know. And I'm like, am I going to get mold poisoning? There's mold all around this hotel room. Like, what am I going to do? And my dad's like, like I'll come fly up. You can fly down. We're trying to figure stuff out. Then my boyfriend at the time comes out of the restaurant and sets me on the curb. I'm like, listen, I'm sorry. I'm like, can't even talk. I'm so panicked and so stressed. I can't even like speak. And I was just like, not making any sense. And he's like, I'm just gonna call us an Uber back to the hotel. He calls us an Uber. I'm still on the phone with my dad in the Uber crying, just crying. I get back to the hotel. I just go outside. I'm on the phone with my dad. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like full on panic mode. So finally, my dad gets me to calm down like a little bit. I go back into the hotel room and my boyfriend looks at me and goes, well, I'm going to fly home. So you see me have a full panic attack. You see what already has transpired for the past month and you decide, okay, I'm going to leave you here and go home. What? So then I obviously start crying again. I go back outside. I call my dad. I'm like, he's going to leave. I don't know what to do. And so my dad gets on the phone with him. My dad's like, I don't feel comfortable with you leaving my daughter when she's in a state of mind like this. I have quite literally never seen her like this. She has been through more than enough in the past month and a half. You need to stay there till I fly down and get there. And he somehow agrees. I don't know how, but he agrees to stay with me. And we get off the phone with my dad. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? What do I want to do with what? He's like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I just need to go take a shower. I take a shower, okay, to try to like calm myself down. I get out of the shower and he's like, well, I think we should break up. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I think we should break up. Like, we're broken up. Breaks up with me, right, after all that. I'm like, okay. So my dad books us a nicer hotel down the street. My dad pays for it. We get there. He does not offer to put his car down to pay for anything. This is my boyfriend at the time. Well, I guess ex-boyfriend now, right? Because he breaks up with me in the mold-filled hotel room, but whatever. So we get there. He doesn't offer to pay for the hotel, nothing. My dad pays for it. My dad tells me, he's like, hey, tomorrow I should be there, but enjoy the rest of the day. I'm like, all right. So him and I, my ex-boyfriend now, I guess, we decide to go to dinner in Miami, and we actually had a pretty nice dinner. Everything was like fine. He winds up paying for dinner, which I was surprised, but he did. We have a nice dinner. We had a great conversation. Like it actually went really well. Then we walked around to a different hotel. We looked at this like golden woolly mammoth. Everything was going like pretty decently fine. So then my dad gets down there, right? And I hadn't really seen my dad in months. So I gave him like a big hug and, he shows up to the hotel and he's like, hey, get ready. Like we're going to go out for dinner. And I'm like, all right, cool. Sounds good. So I go upstairs and get ready and he sits downstairs with my ex-boyfriend. And I don't know what he talked about to this day with my ex-boyfriend, but he did talk with him about something. And I go up, I get ready for dinner. And I come downstairs, I'm all ready. I wore this really pretty dress. And my dad takes us to Smith & Wollensky's in Miami. I talked about Smith & Wollensky's on my last podcast. It's a super nice steakhouse. So we go to Smith & Wollensky's. We order a bunch of food. My dad pays for everything. My now ex-boyfriend at the time does not offer to pay for anything. I'm like, okay. We go get gelato. My dad pays again. So that all happens, right? So the rest of the vacation seems to go fine. My dad winds up taking us to Ball and Chain. It's this restaurant in Miami. And then that day, he drives us to the airport and we fly home. So we fly back and Hoboken isn't too far from Newark and we flew back kind of late. So I said to my ex-boyfriend, I'm like, hey, do you want to stay over or do you want to Uber back to the Upper East Side? He's like, well, I'd prefer to stay over because it's really late. It was like 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, hey, yeah, like I get it. So he stays over in my apartment. And the next day he gets up and he's like, I'm going to take the path home. He's crying. I'm crying. We're both a wreck. He's like, I'll always love you. There might be a chance in the future we get back together. He said this one line to me. He goes, I'm not closing the door. Who the fuck knows what that means? Okay. Whatever. He leaves. I had the Dolla concert that day with my friends. And my friends are like texting me like, hey, are you still going to come to Dom Dolla? I go, yeah, I'm going to come. Everyone meet at my apartment. I'll explain to you guys what's been going on. Because I was kind of MIA with my friends because I didn't even know how to explain to them what the fuck had transpired, okay? So my friends come over that night and we're all excited to go to Dom Dolla. I had dressed up. I wore this really cool like black cutout pants, black cutout top. I did some like colorful makeup. I tried to make myself just look pretty on the outside because I thought that would make me feel better on the inside. And it did kind of work. So my friends come over. I'm telling them everything. They're like, what the fuck? Can you just get a break? Like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So we go to the concert. The concert was lit. It was so much fun. So I'm at the concert, right? And I'm obviously like on my Instagram taking videos. I'm dancing. I'm just trying to like make myself feel better from what has transpired for the last month and a half. Like I deserve to have some fun. Mind you, I did not drink at this concert and I didn't drink for 2 months after this. I didn't have a sip of alcohol, nothing, because I did feel sad and I thought drinking would be the worst possible thing I could do, okay? Didn't drink at all, didn't smoke, nothing. I don't smoke anyways, but whatever, just in case you were wondering. So I'm at the concert and I see that someone unfollowed me on Instagram. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now I do influencing, so I tend to notice these things, obviously, because, you know, that's my job. So his brother goes and unfollows me on Instagram. I'm like, you're a 30-year-old man, you're bald, you look like Shel Silverstein, and you just got engaged, and your main priority is to go unfollow your brother's ex on Instagram the day they get back? Are you for fucking real? I'm sorry. You're embarrassing. You really are. Like, you're a weirdo. I thought maybe you had bigger issues than going and unfollow me on Instagram, but you know what? I guess I thought wrong. So I go to the concert. My friends and I go back from the concert. A few of them stayed over. The next day I get up, I call my dad. I'm like, you know, I had really a good time with my friends at the concert, but I just don't feel like myself still. Can I come back down to Florida? So my dad agrees, and my grandmother has a house in Sarasota. So my dad agrees, and he's like, yeah, come back down. Like, you know, everyone would love to see you. So I fly back down, and my grandmother at the time was there, my cousin, my dad, my uncle, and I spent time with them. And I could have sat around and felt sorry for myself, right? I could have thrown myself a pity party, cried every day. I did cry at moments, but I wasn't going to do that. So I decided to take all my energy and throw it into influencing. I'm like, I'm going to create a digital portfolio. I'm going to start my dog walking business. I made my dog walking account. I went on Facebook, joined the Hoboken Dog Lovers group, started to get some clients, put everything into this digital portfolio, reached out to other brands to really like build my influencing presence, right? And I started booking a lot of brand deals. I booked Spike Dade, Hanky Panky, multiple med spas I worked with, car dealerships, Bridgewater Acura. I started to really gain some traction there, which was pretty cool to see. So really what I was doing during this time was I wasn't drinking. I was bettering myself as a person and essentially becoming a businesswoman, right? So I took that time for me. I decided, I did mute him on Instagram, but I decided one day I got a little curious. I said, let me go, check in on what he's doing. You want to know what he was doing, okay? He decided to go in a helicopter and shoot desert rocks out of a helicopter. You heard that correctly. He decided to go in a helicopter and with a machine gun shoot desert rocks, okay? I said, you know what? What the fuck? Like, this is just not someone I want to be with. I'm out here bettering myself. I'm not drinking. Then I saw multiple Instagram stories of him pretty much blackout drunk. Okay, he was cross-eyed. I was like, this is what you're going to do after a breakup? Like, you're genuinely embarrassing. Whatever. So I'm on my little journey, right? I also read this book, 10 out of 10 recommend. It's called The Let Them Theory. That helped me a lot. That helped me so much. By Mel Robbins. Please read it if you haven't read it. It's a great book. And I'm not a big reader these days. That book, pick it up, read it. Okay? Anytime I felt bad about myself, I read that book and I felt a lot better. So I get that, sometimes when you go through a breakup, your friends will stalk your ex, right? Understand that things like that can happen, but to the extent to which it happened to me is something I'd really like to discuss. So let's set the scene here. His friends, okay, most of them are from the middle of Long Island. There's some from Jersey, but most of them are from the middle of Long Island, okay? And they essentially cosplayed being Brooklyn hipsters, okay? Like in their mind, for whatever reason, they thought they were from like Greenpoint, Williamsburg, right? They thought they were Brooklyn hipsters, okay? The way they acted, the way they talked, like even like Bushwick area, okay? This is how they thought they were. And that's how they presented themselves to people. And as if they were so hipster, they were too cool, right? I'm not a perfect person. I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I am deeply flawed. I have my own problems, right? One thing I can say about myself with certainty is I don't pretend to be anybody I'm not. I'm a bitch from the Jersey Shore. I have a big mouth and I'm myself and I'm honest, all right? I don't try to cosplay being someone else. These people would cosplay being Brooklyn hipsters, okay? That's setting the scene for how they were. So ever since I started dating him, I did feel some weird tension with them between me because I was just being myself and they were trying to be something they weren't. And they're like, oh, well, you're not a Brooklyn hipster. So fucking what? I'm not a Brooklyn hipster. Get over yourselves. I was very nice to them every time I saw them. I'm sorry that I don't fit into your world and your like little mold, but that's your own problem. It's not my problem, okay? So his friends proceed to pretty much stalk me. And there's one friend that I would like to talk about in particular. This man, because he was a grown man, stalked me for 4 months on Instagram. Stalked me for 4 months. Every single day would go and look at my Instagram stories. Never gave me the follow, but was sure to go look at my Instagram stories as soon as I posted them, okay? So I noticed it, obviously. I do influencing. Of course I noticed it. So he'd stalk me every single day for 4 months. Mind you, this grown man has a girlfriend that he lives with. I genuinely believe he looked at my Instagram profile more than he looked at his girlfriend's. He looked at my Instagram profile more than he looked at his own girlfriend's profile, who he lived with. Okay? Bizarre. So that happened. And then his other friend, who I went to college with her, stalked my Instagram too, but I was like, all right, whatever. She's not doing anything like weird or creepy. I've known her since before I knew him, so I didn't really think much of it up until yesterday. So I made a TikTok, and if you saw the TikTok, you know. My TikTok was about men grunting loudly in the gym. Okay, and I share a story about the other day. I was in the gym, had my AirPods in, and a man was grunting so loudly that I could hear him over me working out on the Peloton. Mind you, I had lifted before that without the grunting or the sound effects. That's all my thing was about. Then this crazy internet troll came after me and started making everything all political. And I was like, you know what? I don't know what your problem is, but like you came at me first and tried to bully me in my comment section. I called you out and now you're playing the victim. You cannot be the bully and then play the victim. That's essentially what I said, which is true. You can't go around bullying people and coming at people sideways and then say, oh, I'm the victim. No, that's not how it works. And so I called him out. This girl, okay, sends me my own TikTok with the embarrassed emoji. I see it and I just kind of look at it like, okay, maybe this is an accident. Like, is she for fucking real? Then she blocks me. I go, oh, so it's like that. So him and I broke up in March. We are in November and you're going out of your way to stalk me like that? Like, you have too much free time, okay? You have too much free time and the obsession with me is crazy. I didn't realize all their lives were so boring that they need to still make me a main topic of conversation. I genuinely didn't think all their lives were that boring. I thought they were too busy cosplaying being Brooklyn hipsters, but boy, was I fucking wrong, okay? So I'm like, what the fuck? So I DM her on Instagram and I'm just like, hey, I'm going back to sleep, but feel free to tune in for my podcast. Like, I really don't have time for this. Like, you're a weirdo. And I blocked her on Instagram because you know what? I don't need that weirdo energy behavior anywhere near me. You can pack that up and take that far fucking away back to your Brooklyn hipster cosplaying, okay? Fucking weird. So that all happens, right? And I'm just like, you know what? I wasn't really going to discuss it, but I felt the need to discuss it because that happened yesterday. And then, you know, when I was pitting away my summer clothes the other day, because I was just pitting out all my winter stuff, I came across a card that my ex had written me for Christmas last year. And it was this big, long card. He's like, I can't wait for what 2025 holds for us. It held a breakup and all your friends stalking me and you shooting rocks out of an airplane. That's what it held for you. Okay. It was fucking weird. But yeah, he was bizarre. And in the card, he's like, you're so funny. You're the best. You're the best girl. I could have never asked for a better girl. Talk about a fucking 180. Okay. So that all happens, right? And I want to talk about a little bit how this impacted me with how I date today. So I feel like a lot of people out there could relate to this. So I do go on a lot of dates. I do. But I don't go into dates anymore being like, oh, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the guy I marry? Is this going to be, you know, the guy I have kids with, blah, blah, blah. First of all, I don't really know if I want to get married or have kids. I mean, look at the dating pool. It's like polluted. But I don't go into it like that anymore. I go into it being like, okay, like, let's just do this for fun. Let's go on this date for fun. You know, it's getting to know a new person. This will be cool. I don't go into it anymore looking for the one. The one is myself. I've realized that through this entire year. The one is myself. Anything I need, I can give to myself. I don't need somebody else to go do that for me. Sure, maybe down the line I might want somebody else to spend quality time with and whatever, who adds to my life and doesn't subtract from my life. But for real, everything I need is right here. So please, I urge you, if you go through that, just think about it in that kind of way. I also realized that this guy is not somebody I ever want to be with. I am a problem solver. I solve problems. When stuff comes up, I solve problems. I keep a cool head about me mostly. I mean, that situation was obviously very different. But I'm a problem solver. And next person I'm with, I want them to be more like me, someone who grew up with a similar lifestyle to me, someone who's a problem solver like me. I realized through this whole thing that it just showed me someone who I don't want to be with, not even someone who I'd want to be friends with, right? What should have happened is immediately when he saw the hotel, he should have jumped into action and fixed it. He didn't do that. My dad did. Yeah, but I just think I want to date someone with a similar upbringing to mine. So you may be wondering, why did I name this episode, right? 3 Legs, One Barstool. What the fuck does that even mean, right? Like, is she crazy? I mean, maybe a little bit, but so it's 3 Legs, One Barstool for a reason. My mom and I talked about this concept when everything went down. So a bar stool, right? It has 3 legs, right? So in this situation, 1 was my job, 1 was my living situation, and 1 was my relationship. So 3 legs: living situation, job, relationship. What happened here and what made this whole situation so traumatic for me is that all 3 legs were cut off and I was basically a glorified wooden frisbee. Like, I had nothing. I was flat on the ground like this. And that's what made the whole situation so traumatic, because everything just all at once went to shit. So as terrible as this was, I realized moving forward, I just need to make small changes in my life instead of trying to change everything all at once. I also learned he's not the type of man, I'm going to say with big quotes, I don't think he's a man. I don't think he's the type of man I'd want to date. I also just think I want to date someone similar to me. I know I touched on that before, but I did meet somebody 2 months after the whole situation, after we broke up. I'll explain how I met him. So I was in line Memorial Day weekend at Columns, and there was these group of girls ahead of me. And we started talking to them and they go, hey, do you mind taking a picture of us in front of the column sign? I'm like, sure, no worries, I'd love to. So I take a picture of them. She's like, oh, like, I'm from Hoboken, like I live in Hoboken now. We start talking back and forth. Turns out she lives in the same building as me and she runs a media company. I was like, oh, like I do influencing. She's like, oh my God, I'd love to grab your number. I might need you for a shoot or something. I'm like, all right, cool. So 2 weeks go by and she texts me and she's like, hey, we're having this shoot out in Freehold. I could really use you. Are you around? I said, you know what? I am around. So it's this drink company and they were doing this whole shoot. So I said, yeah, I'm around. So I drive out to Freehold. I go on the shoot and there's this one guy there and I'm like, wow, he's like really cute. And I was like, you know what? He probably has a girlfriend or something. Like, I'm just going to play it cool. And him and I start talking and you're not going to believe this. Him and I start talking and he goes, oh, like I live in Hoboken too. I go, oh, no way. He also lives in my building. I'm like, this is like meant to be. This is so crazy. So we start talking. He gives me his number. I give him my number. He's like, I'd really like to take you out. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd really like that. We have been on a bunch of dates. He's such a nice person. We're still friendly. He wound up moving out of my building recently in October when his lease was up because he moved to a different part of Hoboken. But we're still friends. He took me out for my birthday this year to the Pearl Box in New York City, which great place if you've ever been. But he kind of restored my faith in humanity a little bit and restored my faith in dating because he is a good person. Like I have nothing bad to say about him at all. So yeah, it was really crazy. But me and him had a whole discussion about me maybe going back to law school or if I wanted to do influencing. And he said to me, he goes, do what makes you happy. Don't appease to other people. If you enjoy doing influencing, don't worry about what everyone else is going to say about you. At the end of the day, you have to like what you're doing. And he was so right for that and so valid. And I really do enjoy influencing and podcasting and doing all these like crazy things. I have such a good time. Overall, what I'd like to say is if you're going through, I always stutter at the end. What is good with me? If you are going through a rough patch or going through a hard time in your life, I promise you it does get better from someone who went through the roughest start to the year ever. I look back now and I can laugh and make jokes about the situation, but at the time it was genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever been through, and I came out on the other side even better than before I went in. If I could meet January me, January ALLY and November ALLY are two different people, completely different people, 100%. But I came out better from it, and if you're going through a rough time, just listen to this, and I promise you things will get better. So tonight is Thanksgiving Eve. I'm sure I'm going to get into some more crazy adventures. I'm going to have some more crazy stories for you guys next week. Make sure to tune in and have a happy Thanksgiving with your families. Alrighty? Bye, guys.